Pawan, for agreeing to do this. Uh, while I think Vidya did steal the thunder with the first statistic around GCCs, but we'll still go ahead and talk about that. Pawan, would you want to quickly share your take on the GCC landscape today and how do you see it evolving?
Sure. See, as Somya spoke about numbers, I think these days all newspapers, LinkedIn is full of GCC's growth and numbers, which is good. Nowhere I am saying, okay, numbers are not good. But what is most important? I have seen a significant change in accountability. I have seen a significant change in ecosystem collaboration and how ecosystem is talking to each other to mature GCC capability together in India. That's amazing.
Right, bang on. In fact, so I think with that comes a bit of a ripple effect, right? What we've seen is that more and more organizations in the consulting or the data space have started picking up on a habit of Gen AI washing pretty much everything that they're doing around data. And do you want to maybe elaborate on the importance of value addition beyond the scale spectrum of what mostly GCCs are associated with? Would you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. See, as I said, today you talk about not only US, across the globe, managing healthcare claim system, which is one of the most complex systems. It's happening from India. Creating a payment gateways for APEC-based companies which are more in financials, happening from India. Supply chain system, which is of US-based retail company, is completely managed by a team sitting in India. Though we are a little away from the domain, nitty-gritties are very different. Supply chain in India or retail chain in India is a little different than retail chains in US. But still managing that software, managing that technology platform from India is something which we have done beautifully. And it is growing day by day. And to your second point on washing everything with AI, is a good and bad both. Okay. What's happening? There's too much of hype. Earlier, when technology team or as a technology leader, when I had to adopt, I had to say, okay, we are moving from one platform to another, there used to be a resistance from business. But with GenAI, it's reverse. Business is saying, okay, when you will get into GenAI? Oh, this problem can be solved with AI, then this problem can be solved with GenAI. Yes, lot of problems, lot of use cases. And as Rahul also mentioned, in healthcare, there are tons of use cases which can be solved with GenAI. But then we need to understand responsible AI and ethical AI plays a very, very critical role in some of the industries which are highly regulatory governed, like healthcare and financial. What's happening, even a small claim which get denied using technology, it has a repercussions. There are a lot of active lawsuits which are going on in US where consumers and members are saying we are not getting an optimal solution or services just because companies are using AI.
Right.
So that is where I think I'll give a pause there. That responsible AI, guardrails around AI are going to be very important, and not every solution has to be around Gen AI. Yes, entire world is talking about Gen AI, but we need to understand the underlying cost, and then things which can be done with very, very basic data analytics. Why I need to put a Gen AI there? It's a situation which I need to think before implementing Gen AI. Think, okay, this can be solved with Gen AI.
In fact, as opposed to becoming a Me Too sort of a setup where, hey, listen, that's a bandwagon, I also want to ride.
Yeah.
And since an XYZ competition is doing Gen AI, I must as well do it. I think interestingly, most of the experimental use cases that people make the mistake of picking up on, they die an experimental death as well.
Yeah.
Right? People call it innovation only when an experiment succeeds, and then which is very bite-sized, and then it's implemented to scale. That's when people decide the business outcome of
Yeah.
it. But more and more interestingly, what we've seen is that it while you set up these pods to sort of work on these innovation, what are the key metrics that you want to sort of one you mentioned trust, one you mentioned reliability, one you mentioned relatability as well. Anything else that must be set as a clear KPI for these pods when you're setting it up?
So most important is business impact and the value which we are trying to deliver. Matrices not necessarily has to be around subjective things. Matrices has to be around the business impact, around business values. What is changing when I'm implementing Gen AI? What is going to change? How my bottom line is getting impacted? How consumers are getting a benefit by using Gen AI, which we are not getting by using platform and application which are not on Gen AI platforms.
In fact, this brings me to this lovely anecdote. Back when Pawan and we started, one of the first mandates that Pawan set out for us is you either save a buck for me or you make a buck for me, right? And that's where we started off our relationship with setting up the first sort of data teams that we were, springing off. for him back in the day to about 100 odd consultants. But more to that later. You mentioned about business impact. What sort of a message would you want to give out to data teams that are just being sprung off as we speak? What sort of business impact should they keep in mind? Should they be focusing on lighter touch use cases which are more hovering around cost saving, or should they dare to, as they say, experiment and look about how can I earn an extra buck today? What would your recommendation be?
So I would declare towards data. Reason being, there are a lot of things which can be done by data. So you don't even need a big database. You can do a lot of good stuff with Excel itself, spreadsheet, our favorite tool. Okay, but then bringing those insights, bringing that analytics is very important in today's world to take any decision. And then just on a lighter note, in business and in larger ecosystem, people feel data team is like a washing machine. You put everything and you see a very clean outcome. Okay, but it's reverse. It's like a lens. Even if a small spot on your shirt will get 10x zoom.
It'll magnify.
Okay, and your problem will be much more bigger when you start using data and insights. That is where I would say start using data, but then focus on bringing clean data in your system. Garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely. In fact, this brings us to a lovely point. Back in the day when we started Pawan, it was just about scale. It was just about cost efficiencies. Now, what we notice more and more is that GCCs are becoming a center of strategic control as well. Decision-taking authorities and abilities are coming towards the GCCs as well. Now, to that light, when we compare and contrast business impact, when we compare and contrast, say, listen, Gen AI or no Gen AI, what would be the beginning steps that you would recommend? That would say that, hey, listen, if that's a bad bind that I need to go on, these are the prerequisites I need to take care of. You mentioned about companies still running a mass on Excel sheet. I doubt if there is any company that is still not running on Excel sheet in some way or fashion. But what would be that prerequisite that you'd want to talk about quickly?
See, very first is making sure there is a interest about adopting AI in an effective way. When I'm saying effective way, being responsible about leveraging AI. So before we get into AI and Gen AI journey, we should create a guardrails around what's possible, what's not possible, and what we should be doing rather than possible. Everything is possible. What we should be doing using AI and what we should not be doing. I'll give example of healthcare. Okay, all these platforms, ChatGPT, people are just posting information. In a lot of cases, that is the PHI information, which you are not supposed to put on.
Absolutely.
But then, do we have guardrails around it? Probably no. So what we as an enterprise did it, rather than giving access to our employees to ChatGPT on our office network, we said we'll create a wrapper on ChatGPT, which will automatically protect. The moment you try to put PHI information, it will be restricted. Rest, you are free to do whatever you want to do. So that is, I think, very important thing is guardrails around protecting healthcare information, which is most critical. And by the way, from stats standpoint, in data breach, healthcare data are most expensive, like 4x than any other data.
Absolutely.
So protecting healthcare data is very important.
So by that virtue, we've been doing a good job for the past 4 years, just FYI. But no, I mean, more to that, I think we have the privilege of working with some of the biggest leaders in the space of data. One such leader who happens to be on an advisory as well, about 28, 30 patents in the space of data. He sort of replicated, which he liked to call as the Ashtang approach of data to AI pivot. Would love to talk more about that. I see that we are just running out of time. Before we do that, Pawan, closing notes from your side, if you want to quickly do that.
Yeah. So again, adoption of Gen AI is very important. We all, as techies, we all as part of this larger ecosystem, must get into adopting Gen AI in our day-to-day life. But then don't try to solve all problems using Gen AI.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pawan. Appreciate this one.